Hi everyone, Amy Kennedy here, ceramic artist from a cold Melbourne, Australia this morning. My video today is inspired by a TED Talk that I recently watched by the novelist Tess Callahan. It's called The Love Affair Between Creativity and Constraint, and I highly recommend it. And it's all about how constraints can actually enhance our creative thinking rather than diminish it. And it immediately took me back to my student days, many years ago, when we were set these really intelligent and very specific assignments with constraints that we had to work within as students. And I really loved the process. It was really exciting to problem solve in this way, see what could come, and the outcomes were always really surprising. I would never have thought those sorts of things could come from me. So it was a really great way of working. And I still have, from 15, 16 years ago, a shoebox of tests from some of these assignments and my notes. So it had a huge impact on me. And the other day I was walking around the block and I'm thinking about the TED Talk and my assignments from many years ago, and a scene from the movie Apollo 13 came to mind. And it's about halfway through when everything that can go wrong is going wrong in space. Tom Hanks is really stressed, and down on Earth, a team of engineers, they're thrown into this room and they have to solve a problem with enormous constraints. They have to make something round fit into something square. And they have the constraint of time. They need to do it really quickly. They have the constraint of the materials. They can only use certain materials. They have the constraint of what can and can't happen in space. And they have the constraint of who's in the room and who's available to work on that problem. Anyway, they solve the problem. They save the day. It was a real pressure cooker situation. And for me, it's a really great illustration of how constraints and framework can lead to great creative thinking, problem solving, and innovation and solutions that never would have happened without those constraints in place. And so I'm thinking a lot about constraints in the past week, and as I'm talking to artists in my Evolve mentoring program, I'm just getting ping in my head when different sorts of constraints are coming up, intentional constraints and non-intentional constraints. Some examples is that one artist I'm working with is very diligent about loading her kiln. She likes to fill her whole kiln, and she had nearly finished loading it. She's got a little bit of space left and she wants to make something that fits into that space. So she's put in place a constraint of dimensions and space. Another artist that I'm working with works with porcelain, and she has set a time constraint. She's going to make her work do most of her moves in one day. And many other constraints have been coming up. And I wanted this video to be a celebration, of the power of constraints to enhance and amplify our creativity and our creative thinking, and also an opportunity to be aware of the constraints that are already going on in our studio that we might not totally be aware of. And for this, I set myself an exercise this morning. For about 15 minutes, I just wrote very quickly all the different things that I do in my process that I could think of from where to go, as much as I could. Just very roughly wrote it down. And then I played a game with myself where when we were kids and you close your eyes and you'd move your hand around and you'd land on something. So I did that and I just landed on one part of my process. And so I've pulled that out and now I'm just looking at it from different perspectives. So what is this? Why do I do this? When did I start doing this? What impact does this have on my next step or the final outcome? What if I just didn't do it? What would happen? Or what if I did the complete opposite? What are 5 different ways that I could do this? And for me, it really makes me think about what I'm doing in the studio. Sometimes my hands are moving, I don't know what's happening, I'm not fully aware, and I want to be more aware and curious about it. And it also, when I do processes like this, it just makes me excited and thinking in different ways and gets the creative juices flowing. You don't have to do a full inventory of your process if you didn't want. Another thing that I sometimes do is when I'm in the studio, I'll catch a moment and stop and freeze and just really take in what I am doing in that moment. If I'm holding a tool, how I'm using my hand, how my body is positioned, what sort of material I have in front of me, and sort of dig a little bit deeper to work out what is actually happening in that moment to reveal a little bit more, because I think it is, for me, it's a lot about being aware of things, and then I have the information about being aware, and I can choose what I want to do with that information. Is this constraint really serving me, or is this constraint actually something that I've just picked up, it's become a habit, and it's not really that good for me in my process? I could change it up a bit, and that could be exciting. So I'm still very much thinking through this whole topic, and I find it really, really interesting. And I hope this might be useful for you and some food for thought. So if you'd like to find out more about the programs that I run and how I work with artists in the Evolve Mentoring Program and the International Artist Program, you can check out my website. Have a great day, and I will see you soon.